Hello and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I'm John, I'm the host. And I want to start by talking about the opening scene in Conan the Barbarian, the original one, where Conan's father is talking to him. And he's talking about the riddle of steel. And he talks about trust. Trust is a very interesting thing. He says, you can't trust men, you can't trust women, you can't trust beasts. And then he points to his sword. He said, but this you can trust, right? He didn't point to a 1911 Gold Cup. That's my little baby. That's what you can trust, right? It's hard to trust men. It's even harder to trust women, right? And you certainly can't trust beasts. The reason I bring this up is because might makes right, right? In that movie, the sword was there, right? The sword was the powerful weapon the individual had. Today, it's the sidearm. Now, there are greater, more powerful technological weapons, of course. But when we talk about this concept of might making right and shit hitting the fan, there is a direct correlation. And I want to support it by talking about a lot of different ideas. And you can tell me what you think, right? Might makes right. So today, we're supposed to have civilization. We're all supposed to be reasonable. We're all supposed to be educated and intelligent. We're all supposed to be able to think. But when we look at what's happened just in the last couple of weeks, as usual, the Republicans laid down and died like a gazelle in the jaws of a hyena. By the way, where is Q? We have so much election fraud that is flagrant. It's in our face. But no one's doing anything. Where are the arrests? Where are the indictments? Where is everything that should be happening to put that in its place if Q is so smart and they're so powerful? Well, enough said on that. Anyways, Republicans are laying down and dying like a bunch of gazelles. Democrats, on the other hand, are acting just like these hyenas. They're doing everything they can to kill and maim and gain power. And what's amazing, though, is that once they have that power, they attack each other. I want to give a great example of this. Alexandria Cortez, the socialist tart from New York. Right? She's young. She was some kind of a beauty contest winner. I guess Nancy Pelosi was too. But I don't have an ounce of respect for Cortez. I have no reason to. You see, you don't demand respect, you earn it. And she's done nothing to earn it with me. And I'm not a partisan, not the way Democrats are. But to give you an idea of how vicious they are, Cortez was in Pelosi's office, right? There is going to be a bloodbath within the Democrat Party. They are attacking each other for power. You see, in today's modern age, currently, right now, this socioeconomic political paradigm, this isn't what's used to maintain power at the highest levels. It's political power, right? So right now there's a political fight for supremacy. But wait a minute, aren't the people supposed to be supreme? Yeah, right. Now, what's interesting is the Democrats have always said, well, we're for we're liberals. Yeah, that's what we are. And they always denied being progressives and socialists. Now they're coming out and saying they're socialists, but they're denying that they're outright communists. But I've always heard and always said that the difference between a socialist and a communist is that a communist is in a big hurry. Well, Cortez hasn't even been sworn in yet. That's right. She won the election, but she doesn't take power until she's sworn in January. But she's already in there. She's in a big hurry for that power. She's in there for political power, right? Not real lead and bullets, but political ammunition. And she wants to use it. She's in a big hurry. She wants power now, right? Just like communists are in a big hurry. That should give us, the people, a good indicator of what is going to happen politically and after shit hits the fan with people like her. You see, when shit hits the fan, the angry, emotional left, right, they will rationalize any action. They will rationalize every action. And when there is a power vacuum, they will run. They will fight. They will take on each other. So in a way, that's kind of good for us because they're going to take each other out with their stupidity. At the same time, the moment they have consolidated their power, like a pack of hyenas, they're going to tear after anything, right? So what have the Republicans taught us? Once again, they've taught us that if you want to die fast, just lay down and let everyone eat you, right? Not so. We have the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm keeping this and I'm bearing it. I'm not brandishing it. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm bearing it. I'm carrying it on me, right? Right, to bear a load, to carry a load. Yeah, I can bear a lot of arms. So anyways, the left is going to rationalize everything that they need to get power, to keep power, to get their way. So if we say right now, if they will steal elections, if they will sell national secrets, Hillary, right? If they will pass unconstitutional laws, it's safe to say there is nothing they won't do. And I'm talking about Alexandria Cortez, the little tart, and her communist faction that she's going to be pushing for. There's nothing they won't do now. And there's nothing they won't do when shit hits the fan. Right? It's nice to think. And this is the nice part of the human mind. When shit hits the fan, when things go bad, we're going to come together. We're going to get along. We're going to cooperate. We're going to share. We're going to understand the gravity of the problem. And we're going to come up with a good unified plan for everybody. That's bullshit. It's not going to happen. You see, because the only people who have that mentality are preppers who are naive. And people who aren't preppers that want what preppers have, and they're going to play on that naivete. Oh, we can all get along. Let's just go find some preppers and work with them and get some stuff fixed. People that are soft like that, they're gazelles. Don't be a gazelle. Don't be an ostrich and stick your head in the sand with your ass up in the air because somebody's going to come by and plug it one way or another, right? There is nothing they won't do when shit hits the fan. Now, if we have Republicans and soft, good people in charge, yeah, there's going to be less trouble. But let's be real. The people who are in charge now, they are not kind. They're not nice. They're not generous. They are selfish. They are self-centered. They are self-serving. They are what? They're stealing elections, selling secrets, and passing unconstitutional laws. What makes you think they're going to operate and act in a better fashion when shit hits the fan? Now, I'm going to pose this concept to you. If police didn't have guns and they had to make rational discussion and reasonable, persuasive arguments with you to get people to follow the law, don't you think it would be a much kinder, nicer America? Well, yeah. But believe it or not, it used to be that way. Police really didn't have all the guns they have today. They didn't run around with body armor. They didn't have a backup piece and a backup piece on that. They didn't have radios and panic buttons and 6 forms of non-lethal self-defense that is actually lethal. It's actually less lethal because many people have died from everything from pepper spray to enhanced interrogation, right, to tasers, right. You know, I'm not happy with what law enforcement has become. But it's easy to see how it's gotten there when we take a look, right? As laws move further from rational and lawful foundations, the common law, natural law from God, that is, we have rights, the government recognizes them, the government guarantees, the same way you guarantee to make a payment on an automobile you buy, the government has been given authority and they guarantee they won't violate our rights. So as laws move further away from rational and lawful foundations, more force is required by law enforcement to get the public to play along. You see, the more they tax us, the more they push us, the more they take from us, the angrier we get, the less cooperative we are, the less rational everything sounds. For example, these red flag laws that are being proposed and passed and now enforced means someone down the street can say, you know, Fred, he just doesn't seem stable, so I'm going to call the police on him. I think he's dangerous. Well, because of one complaint, the police show up at Fred's and say, look, we've had a complaint. Someone said you're unstable. And Fred says, who said that? And the cop says, we can't tell you that. It's an investigation. It's an ongoing investigation. But what we need to do is take your guns. There's no due process, right? It's not a criminal complaint. There's no crime been committed. There's no criminal complaint sworn under oath and, on an affidavit. I don't even know if they get a search warrant. I have no idea. And it comes from this fear. But guess what? Guess how it's being used? It's being used as a punishment. Because now I go, Fred's an asshole. I hate that fucking guy. He's a jerk. Sick of his shit. I don't like the fact that he drives a nicer car than me. Right? I don't like his house. I don't like anything about him. I'm gonna call the police and say, he's an irrational prick, and I had an argument with him, and I think he's gonna shoot me. So then they go and take Fred's guns. Well, what happened just last week? Police showed up at a guy's house, and he said, "You're not taking my guns," and he was killed. He was murdered for standing up for his rights. Now, so let's go back, and I'll say this again. As laws move further away from rational foundations, more force is required to get the public to play along. So now what do we see? Right? We've moved from an agreeable society where we all get along, where we all understand everyone's armed and everyone has rights, to one requiring a law for everything. And now we've moved on to a police state using deadly force at traffic stops. Literally, police having to use deadly force at traffic stops. It's because of the progressive, how do I put this? Totalitarian nature, the tyrannical nature, the despotic nature of government itself. That's how they've gone, right? See, when we look at what's going on out here, tyranny, what does it cause? Well, it causes strife. Strife, conflict. It causes hate. Look at the Nazis. Look at who else? The communists. That's right, under Russia. It causes murder. Once again, look at some of the most tyrannical regimes. I'll even talk about what the Jacobites who overthrew King Louis in the French Revolution. It was a tyrannical replacement for the king. The French version of the American Revolution didn't end well for the French people. There was a lot of murder and a lot of revenge, a lot of shit hits the fan there. The United States of America was born, and it's because we had what? A more rational foundation. The French were not very rational, and they had warring factions the same way we have factions within the Democrats who, once they get power, are going to fight amongst themselves, right? What else does tyranny cause? Theft. That's right. Abusive taxation, right? Government agents taking from people, right? What do we see today? We see the police pulling people over and confiscating their property. Oh, well, they're criminal. Oh, well, what they have is illegal. Oh, well, you're not allowed to have $1,000 in cash. You're not allowed to have those guns. You're not allowed to have whatever they say you're not allowed to have. Right? And this is the world we have now. right? And so what we get is tyranny, terror, right? Tyranny causes terror. Governments use their agents to terrorize people. When shit hits the fan, we're going to have a lot of terror. We're going to have a lot of localized tyranny, which is going to cause strife and hatred, murder, theft, and terror. You can't trust men. You can't trust women. You can't trust beasts. But this you can trust. The riddle of steel, right? This you can trust. People say, I don't like it when you talk about politics, John. Well, guess what? Politics is what got us here. Bad decision-making, poor philosophy, right? Corruption, greed, unethical behavior, all of that has gotten us to where we're at. And we're seeing the results. We are in the death throes, our republic is. It has cancer. It does. It has cancer. Our immune system were the constitutional foundations. What protected us from this cancer was the Bill of Rights. And as the Bill of Rights have been eroded, and as the Constitution is being treated more like toilet paper than being regarded as a document containing wonderful restrictions upon government that create fairness and justice for everyone. We've ended up with this cancerous organism where the most vile creatures will cheat, will lie, will steal, and will fight each other even for the power to run, the power to rule. This is the system we're in. It is despotic. Unfortunately, police want a job and they're willing to do these horrifying things. I mean, if you think about it, you go, what, no, that's not how it is, John. Well, yeah, it is. The men in France that worked for King Louis before he lost his head, they were just regular citizens. They weren't King Louis's sons, his cousins. They were people who were paid by the king money to go out and be tyrannical police state enforcers, murderers, jailers, the corrupt courts. All of those people were paid by King Louis. Over in England, oh yeah, they've killed their own kings in England as well. Right? We would have probably taken the king out, except he wasn't here in America. We were just happy to get away from his rules. More on that later. But the English, they've committed regicide. Why? Because of his rules. But who enforces the rules? Well, the tyrant is just a tyrant. But the tyrant needs his army, his tax collectors, his judges, his law enforcement. And those are just regular people. People who are just making a paycheck. They need to pay their bills too. They need to put food on the table. They got to put shoes on their chitlins' feet. Right? So the policemen I know, the law enforcement personnel that I'm familiar with, they understand that when shit hits the fan, at least some of the older guys, they understand that there's going to be a lot of what? Anger, fear, that's going to be directed at them when shit hits the fan. Why? Because of the tyrannical nature of government under people, not just on the national level, but on the state, county, and all the way down to just a little local level. Right? So we're going to see a lot of people using their might to make right. But unfortunately, because our educational system, our political system, our system of morality that our countries existed under, because it is so eroded and decadent, there are people going to be taking revenge and murdering and killing people for what they consider to be the right reason, but in all truth, it's going to be for the wrong reason. There's going to be a lot of people that are hurt for absolutely no reason. There's going to be people that are hurt for selfish reasons, and that's why we need to, as preppers, have a plan to accommodate those people in that 10-mile radius around us. Knowing and understanding them. Are they reasonable people? how far can you trust them? Because you have to trust people to some degree, but how much, right? And another big question is, might does make right. Not in a moral sense, but rather in a physical sense, on the physical plane. If someone's exercising their muscle, their power, their strength, and they defeat an enemy, whether by beating them or shooting them, right? To the victor go the spoils. Might makes right. That's why governments, right, they've been instituted among us, and we're supposed to restrict them. But when they get out of control, right, the very fact that their power causes them to behave differently. It's going to happen when shit hits the fan. People are going to say, well, I can do this, so I will. And because I've won, it makes it right. And that is going to start the same problem we have with our government today. That because when they want to arrest somebody, they send a dozen police officers with overwhelming force, right? And what kind of force is it? It's deadly force. There's going to be retribution for that. There's going to be a payback. There's going to be a pendulum swing the other way. There's going to be vigilante justice. The world is shit hits the fan. Even if it's shit hits the fan light, it's going to have a lot of these elements in it. And it's something that I want to caution everyone about applauding, and also caution everyone against participating in. Because you're going to have to live with the decisions that are made. It's going to be hard enough to deal with the decisions you have to make in which you know you're justified. But when you make errors, you're really going to hurt yourself later, psychically, emotionally, spiritually. It's going to be a very trying and hard time. There's not going to be any room for snowflakes, for social justice warriors. There's not going to be any room for people who want everyone else to take care of them because they have PTSD, because they need safe space, because shit hits the fan was so difficult. It's not going to be that world anymore. That's the decadent world that is passing by because it is bankrupt. It won't support itself. Right? The only thing that's making this world go right now is the very fact that the tyrants in charge are demanding so much from us. It's a crazy world. So what I'm going to recommend is you have your food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, right? Have your might. Because if you have to do it, if you have to use it to defend yourself, right, you're going to be the one telling the story about how you were right in doing so. And that's just the way it's going to be. And like I said, I've talked to law enforcement. They know what's coming. They're going to bug out. Now, I don't know what they're going to do in your area. I don't know what they're going to do over that way, 50 miles, or over that way, 80 miles, or down in Sacramento, 120 miles. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do in D.C. I don't know what they're going to do in Georgia. I know what they're going to do in this area, though. Right? And that is where we're the experts in our own world. I'm only the expert in John's world. Right? But history has proven these types of things that I say to be accurate. Tyranny causes strife, hatred, murder, theft, and terror. Those are all things that none of us want to see happen, and that none of us want to deal with. But that's what will happen because it is what has happened. It's happened and caused by governments. It's happened and been caused by people who have overthrown governments. It's happened and been caused right in the absence of government as much as it happens right under the authority and power of government. Right? What makes the world smooth running is a hardworking, moral people that are not being victimized by each other or a government. Right? Everyone goes, well, are you on the left wing, John, or are you right wing? Well, neither of those wings. The reason is the left wing and the right wing politically are communists and fascists. I'm about freedom and liberty. I'm about self-responsibility. I'm responsible for myself. I don't need a government and a bunch of laws to tell me what's right and wrong. and to punish me and to tax me in order to keep telling me what's right and wrong. Right? That's the difference. I am not right or left wing. I am about freedom, and it's on a completely different page. I'm on the other end of the spectrum from these ridiculous partisans that are out here fighting over who should be in charge and what form of tyranny we need to live under. Right? But the one rule, right, that superimposes itself over human behavior is that might does make right. It's not morally right, but it wins the day. Right? So please, make this a big part of your preps. Understand, and I don't mean just having a gun and shooting it, but rather having a defensive plan. How to deal with people that are in your area. Making sure that you can defend yourself, your family, your prepper group, your community, however you see your world. And it's going to be a small world when shit hits the fan. So anyways, thank you again very much for joining me here on Patreon and engaging in the conversations we have. It's been one hell of a week. Tomorrow, I'll be back with the weekly wrap-up, and we're going to talk about whether or not we're closer to shit hitting the fan or not. I think you can guess. But there's some interesting things I want to talk with and share with you guys and get your feedback. So you guys have a good night and a good day. Chance favors, the prepared mind is yours. You guys be cool. Semper Fi and Godspeed to all.